A Tale of Two Cities by Charles Dickens is a historical novel set in London and Paris before and during the French Revolution. It tells a story of personal sacrifice, resurrection, and the violent extremes of hatred and love. Part 1, Recalled to Life. The story begins in 1775. Dr. Alexandre Manette, a French physician, has been unjustly imprisoned in the Bastille for 18 years. He is finally released, and his former bank clerk, Jarvis Lorry, and his daughter, Lucie Manette, bring him to safety in London. Lucie's presence gradually restores Dr. Manette's sanity, which had been lost in prison. Mr. Lorry works for Tellson's Bank, which acts as a bridge between the two cities. 5 years later, in 1780, French émigré Charles Darnay is on trial for treason in London, accused of spying for the American side of the war. His acquittal is due to the resemblance he shares with the cynical, alcoholic lawyer Sidney Carton. Carton is a brilliant but directionless man who works for Darnay's defense attorney, Stryver. Both Carton and Darnay fall deeply in love with Lucie. Lucie chooses to marry Darnay. Carton, heartbroken, promises Lucie that he would readily lay down my life to keep a life you love beside you. Part 2, The Golden Thread. Charles Darnay is actually a French nobleman who renounced his title, the nephew of the cruel Marquis Saint-Evrémonde. He left France because he despised his family's tyrannical abuse of the peasantry. When his uncle is murdered, Darnay decides not to take the title. Meanwhile, back in Paris, the growing misery and rage of the French common people is embodied by Ernest and Madame Defarge. They run a wine shop in the impoverished Saint-Antoine district, which serves as a center for the rising revolution. Madame Defarge, in particular, is a chilling figure of vengeance, ceaselessly knitting a register of the aristocrats destined for the guillotine. The Manettes and Darnay are happy in London, but the shadows of France are growing longer. In 1789, the revolution explodes. The Bastille is stormed, and the common people take bloody revenge on the nobility. Darnay, despite his past renunciation of his title, receives a letter from a former family servant begging for his help. Foolishly believing he can right the wrongs, he secretly travels to Paris. Part 3, The Track of the Storm. Upon arriving in revolutionary Paris, Darnay is immediately arrested as a returning émigré and an aristocrat. Lucie, Dr. Manette, and Mr. Lorry immediately follow him to Paris. Dr. Manette's past as a Bastille prisoner initially earns him respect from the revolutionaries, the citoyens, and he uses his influence to try to save Darnay. After a long imprisonment, Darnay is finally tried. Dr. Manette's passionate testimony secures his acquittal. However, moments later, he is rearrested on a new charge, denounced by 3 people, the Defarges and one other person. At the second trial, the third denouncer is revealed to be Dr. Manette himself. A document written by the doctor during his imprisonment in the Bastille is read aloud. It details the horrific crimes of the Evrémonde family, Darnay's father and uncle, who imprisoned Dr. Manette after he tried to report their rape and murder of a peasant woman and her brother. This document condemns all Evrémonde, including Charles Darnay, to death. Darnay is condemned to die by the guillotine the next day. The family is devastated. It is at this moment that Sidney Carton steps forward. He discovers that Madame Defarge is the surviving sister of the family destroyed by the Evrémonde, and her thirst for vengeance is absolute, extending even to Lucie and her daughter. Remembering his promise to Lucie, Carton implements his final great plan. He bribes his way into Darnay's cell, drugs him, and switches places with him, relying on their strong physical resemblance. Miss Pross, Lucie's fiercely loyal servant, prevents Madame Defarge from finding Lucie by engaging her in a fatal struggle. Darnay, carrying Carton's forged papers, is safely taken out of Paris by Mr. Lorry. Sidney Carton, having finally found purpose in his life, goes to the guillotine. His final famous thought reflects his selfless act. "It is a far, far better thing that I do than I have ever done. It is a far, far better rest that I go to than I have ever known." His sacrifice saves Lucie, Darnay, and their family, fulfilling his promise and bringing the novel to its powerful conclusion of love, triumphing over hatred and vengeance.